Right, as I always say, we are live-ish. I have to say live-ish because I gotta check all the steps just to make sure that we're actually live where the places and people and things think we're supposed to be live. See, LinkedIn is already acting up. I'm gonna click the live button on Instagram and see what happens. And Facebook, I just need to change the audience, and then we should be good to go so that we're not the only ones that can see it. Let's see. All right, so Facebook is good. LinkedIn is not linking, and Instagram. All right, so three out of four.
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, we're good. LinkedIn, not so much. So you'll have to catch the replay for LinkedIn. Sorry. Um, actually, though, I should be able to. Oh no. LinkedIn, I think caught up. We're
Okay,
live.
come on, LinkedIn.
Okay, a little
They a
bit of
little
a
slow sometimes,
little
but they
delay,
come
but we're
through.
in. All right, that was a little clunkier than even usual. So, welcome. Happy Thursday. My name is Tanisha Stallnaker, and we are live with Entrepreneurs Unplugged for yet another awesome episode. I have some people that have been really looking forward to this one. And so, I would like to just introduce myself really quick and then introduce my guest. I introduce myself with my disclaimers every single time. So, this is truly unscripted, it is unplugged. Anything can happen. The dog, the husband, the kid, anything is possible. And, so let's just call that what it is. But I am the CEO of SVS. We are your go to automation systems and support agency. And so we are just a bunch of women that love doing tech and buttons. And I have with me Stacy Reed. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, yeah. Hey, y'all. My name is Stacy, and I am the owner and CEO of Stacy Zeal & Co., which is a marketing consulting company that really focuses on helping online brands, on businesses that are operating online to really scale their businesses through strategic marketing and Facebook ads. I have a background in Facebook ads. I've worked for companies like Zappos and Crocs and UGG, and have helped small businesses as well as very large businesses generate lots of revenue for their businesses. So I'm excited to be here, excited to talk to y'all about marketing, ads, resilience, all the things.
Yes. So speaking of resilience, you picked. So for those that are new, every time I invite a guest to this live, and everybody is invited, there is a list of topics to choose from. So I'm always intrigued when people pick topics. Even if I have three guests in a row that pick the same topic, they're going to have a completely different lens on how they see it. And so Stacy picked building a resilient business. And so knowing that marketing and ads and everything is your background, I was just curious, why that topic?
That's a great question. So I picked that topic because I've had the immense privilege in my career to see how things work when you are working in an 8-figure business, when you're generating 7 figures in, or multi 7 figures in one day, right? Like I've seen the power that marketing has for businesses. And I feel like marketing helps to drive resilience. And I want to see more people who look like us, people from marginalized communities, who are, identify as LGBTQIA. Like, I want to see more of us making an impact with our businesses, staying around for a long time, and using those businesses to actually leave the legacy that we want to leave to, like I've always had this dream where like, I would be able to, like my nephew is like the love of my life, and he's 4 right now. So he got a long way to go before he gets to this place. But when he wants to go to college, I don't want to have to worry about anything. If he wants to travel the world, I don't want him to have to worry about anything. And I think that a lot of us in our community, we care so deeply about our community and the people we're surrounded by. And I believe that as business owners, we want to be able to, not only make the impact in business and help our clients, but we also want to leave a legacy. We also want to create generational wealth. We also want to be able to make changes in our communities and donate to the nonprofits that we support, and, use our dollars to actually make change. And I believe that as business owners, when you build that long-term resilience, you can do that in the way that you see fit, and you can do that for a long time. So it helps to really kind of staple, to it may be a longer view of supporting our community and growing our communities and making change. But I believe that as business owners, we're in it for the long haul. we really are able to make change. And so that's where that resilience comes in. And that's really why I picked that.
Ooh, I love that. And you brought up a lot of good points, but the simplified version is I don't know that I consciously would have thought to tie. And I say this, so when I say it, I don't want anybody's like, this chick's an idiot, why does she even have a business? But I guess it's one of those things where you know it but you're not conscious that you know it, of actually the connection of the marketing with the resilience of the company. I could tie marketing to visibility, marketing to money, marketing to all the things, but as far as to the overall longevity and resilience of your business, I don't know how much time and that I spend thinking about marketing, which explains a lot about how ours has been over the years, or the lack thereof, year after year. So talk to us about that. I guess I would assume you started in corporate before
Mhm.
going into entrepreneurship, or are you one of those fun unicorns that have always been an entrepreneur in some kind of way?
It's interesting. I feel like I kind of fit in both of those categories in a sense that um I did, I've been in marketing for 13 years and I started in corporate, right? Like my first job out of college was doing marketing for a business law firm. And so, I've been in, I've worked for law firms, I've worked for transportation companies, I've worked with e-commerce brands, I've worked with a lot of different types of companies. And so I've always really had corporate as my focus, but I've always been a side hustler. So like soon as I graduated college, I got my first job. While I was in that first job, I was posting on Facebook saying like, "Hey, I can help you to, market your book. I can help you to build a website. I can help you to, do your social media." And so I've always had clients, right? I've always had people like, making side money, but I really was focused on it being just side cash, right? Like, like it wasn't something that I intended on, creating a business I wasn't trying to replace my income, corporate at that time. I wanted to be in corporate because I wanted to learn and build my network and really kind of be able to get the insights that I need to be where I'm at today in helping to, consulting with companies that are looking to grow. But I wanted to really focus on corporate. I went through that whole process, but then I got to this point where at Zappos, like, I was trying to figure out what's next. I always get these periods in my life where I think like, what's next, right? Like, am I happy about where things are at? What do I want next? And the only thing that I could see that would come next is me going full time in my business and betting on myself. So I had, people wanted me to come to work at Adidas, wanted me to come work at all these other places, but I didn't want that. I really, really wanted to build to take the knowledge that I've acquired and transition that and to be able to help the people that I want to help and the people that are surrounding me. And so that's really kind of, so I feel like I kind of sat between both. I focused on corporate, but then I was always side hustling. And I didn't realize at the time, or I didn't intend at the time, that I was preparing myself for where I'm at now. But when it was time for me to like say like what's next, I was able to go to the clients I already had. I was able to, take some of the stuff that I had already done and just really kind of like amplify it.
Nice. So it's funny because every time somebody asks, like, when did I transition from corporate to business, it's like, well, because I got laid off, so I was transitioned, and
Mhm, mhm,
there was no plan, but there was still the accidental transfer of knowledge in all the years that I was in corporate, and being able to bring it into the business when it comes
mhm.
to resilience in a different way, but also how to deal with people, how to interact with people, how to play the game to a degree, and bring some of that into the business. So, being that you've worked with so many large brands and large scale brands, was there a period when you decided to go from corporate to full time business where, trying to frame the question here, where I guess, did you miss the big scale versus the smaller scale?
Let me tell you, their perks for working at Zappos were fantastic. I missed my discount. Let me tell you, I had all the shoes, I had so many clothes, I had all the things, right? But even outside of that, right? Like, um, in corporate, when I was working at Zappos, I got to, because I was leading paid social there. So I was running all of their ads on like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, all those kind of like social platforms. and we were spending a significant amount of money. And because of that, we had dedicated reps at these specific companies that I was meeting with literally every week, to be able to learn from them, to be able to, if there was something going on in our ad account, I could reach out to my rep at Facebook, and they would, figure out, they would help us out. Now I got to go through chat support. The first time I had to go through chat support after I left Zappos, I said, oh, how the mighty have fallen.
You got the regular treatment then.
Yes. I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta use chat support. Do y'all know who I am? Like, what? Like, so, but I will say that as much as it was an adjustment to go from working at this big company, saying like just saying I worked at Zappos. It was like people like, oh my gosh, you work at Zappos? Really? I ordered my shoes from there. Oh, do you see? I see some ads on Facebook, right? And so there is this bit of like glitz and glam that was in it that was really exciting, but then also, every place has its shit, right? Like every place has its things that that are not perfect. But I also am someone who really, really like has to be like, I'm not someone who can just do something for the money, right? I cannot just do something just to do it. I really have to feel aligned with it. I have to feel connected to it if I'm going to give my all to it. And for a while, I did feel that. But then as I started to realize the impact that I could create, the life that I wanted to live, I was working so much that like literally like I couldn't go to happy hour, right? I couldn't, because I was just working all day, right? And because I was side hustling, I was working, and like it just was a lot, right? And so I started to just realize that like I'm willing to give up the glitz and glam to be able to create, the life that I want, and to be able to forge the path that I want to forge, and to be able to work with the people that I want to work with, and to be able to work in the way that I want to work, right? And so while yes, it was definitely a transition, and it's one of those things that you have to adjust, but because of deep down as a human being, I need to feel connected to what I'm doing. This going out on my own and leaving all the glitz and the glam was definitely it was going to happen, right? And I'm a lot happier on this path that I'm on. And I honestly feel like I got to a point where I was done with corporate, right? Like I had learned, I'd worked for, I remember before I started working at Zappos, right? Like I remember saying to myself, I want to be very intentional with my job search, as I was leaving the other company I was at. And I said, I want to work for a big brand, and I want to work on, on a big marketing team. And I wanted to work in tech, right? Those were the three things that I wanted to do. And so, going to Zappos, I worked with hundreds of big brands. I've been able to work on a very large marketing team. I've been able to work with, in tech and in e-commerce, and with, other kinds of companies that are also in that kind of tech, e-commerce, retail kind of space. And it was fantastic, but it wasn't, so it came to its end, right? Like it felt like it felt like kind of like I was turning the next chapter, and the next chapter was called Stacy Reed & Co. And that's where I have really had to focus.
I love that. So talking about the I guess the reason and the focus of why you shift and change, even for me now, there are definitely those days, weeks, months where I'm like, do I need to go back to corporate?
Yeah, I feel you.
But quite frankly, and I used to beat myself up, but I was like, I don't know that you're in entrepreneurship if you really haven't had those moments where it's like, should I just set a match to it and go back to
exactly
to a job?
Exactly.
But even then, when I remind myself of, and quite frankly, I don't know that I could brag to say I had nearly the amount of perks that you had, because I wasn't getting shoes and clothes and stuff. I got a paycheck and health insurance. So, and I was like,
look,
that's kind of the basic.
your health insurance is such a perk, because now as an entrepreneur, health insurance is expensive. Okay.
A paycheck on time is also now a perk.
Yes. Yeah.
Where you can just open it up and just magically there. And it's funny because my mom would make comments like, oh my God, you made this amount. No. My company made that amount.
Yeah.
I did not make that amount. And that was the sad realization a couple of years in, like I was saying, 2024, 6 figures ain't six figure in like 2023 six figures. And it took a while to acknowledge the six figure number that used to be marketed so much years ago. Like, oh, that was the goal, six figures. And I was like, well, I made six figures in corporate, so it sounds good. And now factoring in six figures for a company that has a team and you have overhead and all of that really means nothing. And I was like, okay, so I didn't do the math correctly. So now let's go for seven figures. Maybe I'll do the six figures. If the company is in seven, then I get six.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that whole, even with all of that craziness when it comes to entrepreneurship, and it's like literally the wild, wild west. Um, I don't know. There would have to be a near perfect environment for me to
Mhm.
go. And I'm not saying back in like in a backwards, like I failed kind of way, but an organization would have to be, I don't know, the vetting would have to be so near perfect. And even then I still would give up my company.
Yeah.
But, I've considered it. And it's like, I remember those long days. I remember those days where I worked, you know, 13 hours in the office, commuted an hour and a half home and logged
Mhm.
back on,
Mhm.
and literally crying on my way to work and crying on my way home. And because I was just putting in so much time. And then I just
Mhm.
was like, well, if I'm going to put all of that time in, I would much rather put that time in for something that's mine
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not someone else's. Because the one thing that last layoff, and I say it that way because over the course of nearly 15 years, I'd been laid off 5 times. And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
clearly resilience I got. But it also was just a reminder that at the end of the day, no matter how much somebody liked me, I was a
Mhm.
number and I was replaceable,
Yes.
at least in
Mhm.
my own organization.
Mhm.
I can't replace, if I'm replacing me, it's because the business has gone so much that I've decided
Yeah.
to hire another me. It's not because
Yeah.
somebody has decided that I don't have that value. So
Yeah.
if we don't mind, let's talk about ads for a couple seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with my organization, because we do so much stuff with like tech and systems and everything, I've always said for years, the two things that we don't do a lot of, and I rephrased it to a lot of, because I realized I actually had somebody on my team that does do ads. And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
good to know. I never had a reason to ask before, but I was like, we
Yeah.
can do anything other than copy and ads.
Yeah.
I signed up for like an ads training
Mhm.
within a few months of the business. And I was like, this sounds cool. I'm going to do this. I could be an ads manager. And I think I made it to module 2 and was like, so no, I,
Yeah.
I, I'm not. And it's not because I couldn't do it. It was just like, this doesn't actually excite me at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, another part of business, I don't want to do something I don't want to do.
Mhm.
So I just kind of left it alone. But it's probably outside of the systems things. It's like the next thing that people come to me for. It's like, hey, can you help me with an ad? And I was like, no, but I can point you in the direction of somebody who can. And
Yeah.
I can at least tell you if you're even set up properly to talk to this person.
Mhm.
You get that
Yeah.
client that's like, oh, I got $300. I want to run ads. And it's
Mhm.
like, you're probably not ready for an ads manager yet,
Yeah. Need to do
or
that.
I have
Learn that yourself.
$300, no list, no
Yeah.
proven offer. I just started a business 2 months ago, but I want to run some
Mhm.
ads. Who do
Yeah.
you have? And it's like, nobody. I got Google and YouTube.
Mhm. And YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got Google and YouTube. That's what you got. So I guess for whether it's my past clients or potential clients or the people that are going to come to somebody like me,
Mhm.
that I'm going to send to either a you or maybe a you starting out, what are some of the things that I guess that you would recommend like, you should at least have these three things in place first before
Yeah.
ads should even come out of your mouth?
Yes, definitely. So I want to, this is such a great question. And it's something that I think people really need to pay attention to because ads are an amplifier. And the way that I like to really kind of approach them is that they're more like pouring gasoline on a fire, right? It's not going to start the gas is not going to spark and start the fire, right? Otherwise, you're just pouring gas on the ground. If there's no spark, it's not going to get bigger. You're just, pouring gas on the ground, right? And gas is expensive. Let's be clear, right? I don't know about where y'all at, but gas is just it's expensive. And so, you're pouring gasoline out onto the ground. It's just getting wet. Nothing's happening, right? But imagine if you're pouring gas onto something that has even a small spark, right? Like even something you're having an inkling like that. there's something here, right? Like this is actually working, right? I'm getting sales from this. I'm understanding my clients, like I have a picture in my head of who they are and what their needs are and those kinds of things. I would rather pour gas on that than to just pour gas on the ground and hope that it sparks, right? Hope that maybe, somebody throws something out of their window and it like lights on fire, right? Like, that's kind of what you're doing when you're jumping into ads without really a proven, sales funnel or a proven customer journey, what is what I like to call it, and without understanding who your clients are. You're really kind of just hoping that somebody is just desperate enough to go ahead and buy something from you because it resonated just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so because that's what a lot of people are doing. But think about if you were to take a step back and you were to say, okay, you know what? Ads are always going to be there. I'm going to tell y'all this now. Meta is not going anywhere, right? Like, we already know what's going on with TikTok, and we'll figure, people will figure out what's going on with TikTok and that kind of thing. But Meta, for the most part, is not going away. It's Facebook's the third most visited website in the world, right? Like Instagram has 1.9 billion monthly active users. Facebook is almost at 3 billion monthly active users, right? So there's a lot of people. This platform is not going anywhere. And advertising is how Facebook makes its money. And so I say that to say that you don't have to rush into ads before you're ready, because they will be there for when you're ready. I would rather you take the time to, one, understand who your clients are, your best clients, not just anybody with a pulse that's going to give you money, but like if you're thinking about who are your best people, right? And this is something I've had to work with. I've worked with sales coaches, I've worked with marketing coaches, I've had to refine this for my own business. So this is something we all have to do, and we always have to do it for the life of our business, right? Because our customer is always evolving. And consumer behavior kind of like is evolving and that kind of thing, right? So you have to understand who your people are, what they care about, what their pain points are, and what they want what kind of transformation they want, or what is their desire. Because when you can understand those things, then you can create ad creative like videos and still images and copy. Then that helps you to create ads that resonate, what I like to call hot ads, and it's a framework that I teach in my course. But you want to make sure that your ads are going to resonate and cut through that 3 billion people, or cut through all of the people on Facebook to find your best clients. So that's the first thing, is making sure that you understand your messaging. And the way that you do that is by talking to people, right? Talking to your best clients, asking them questions. Why did they buy from you? Where were they at before they got to you? Doing market research. You can jump into Facebook groups and see what people's problems are. So do some research first, right? Or even get some clients, right? Or focus on just getting some clients and then ask them, right? Like, like when you get people to buy your course, you get people to enroll in your programs, you get people to, to invest with you. Talk to them, right? See where they were at and where they're trying to get to. So once you have your messaging down, once you have that first piece down and you understand who you're talking to, and that's going to help you to create the really good ads, the second thing you want to have is a customer journey, is a clear customer journey, a way to take people from I have no idea who you are to please take my money. Right? Because if you're thinking about ads, most of the people that you're talking to are going to be it's going to be cold traffic, meaning they have no idea who you are. They don't live around the corner from you. They do not know you, right? They have not watched your lives. They don't consume your content. They have no idea that you even exist, right? And so, these people, and, we were even talking about before, like, before we jumped on, like, trust is at an all-time low, right? People have been burned before. People are not not investing as easily as they have before. And so it's really important for you to have a way to build that trust, or to impart that trust into people who don't know you, right? People have to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you before they're going to buy anything from you. So Facebook ads help that person to kind of get to know you, so that you can reach that person across the world that needs your services. But that person is still a person, and they still need to understand who you are, like your methodologies, and believe that you can actually help them to get the result. So that's where your customer journey comes in. That's, having, a free resource that you can give people. That's blog content, that's podcasts, that's your lead magnets, those are your webinars, those kinds of things, right? Those are the things that your email list, right? Like you can use these things to give people the information that they need in order to buy from you. right? So you have to have a way of reaching the right person. You have to have a way of moving that person from cold to really to cold to sold to really ready to buy from you. And then the last thing you need to have is you really need to have an inkling that your organic presence is working, right? You want to make sure that you are posting your organic content, you are creating your long form content like your blogs, your video, your YouTube videos, you're posting on social, because what people are going to do when they see your ad is they're going to go and check you out. I've literally had people say that to me. I had someone who booked me for a podcast interview. She was like, "Oh, I saw one of your ads. I went there on your Instagram and looked at all your content, love what you had to say, and I think that it would be great for you to come and talk to my audience." It was the intention. The ad wasn't trying. I wasn't trying to get speaking gigs with the ad, but it just happened,
Yeah.
right? Because she saw the ad, she went and checked me out, looked at my content, and then she reached out, right? So that's what your customers are going to be doing, right? They're going to see your ad pop up in their timeline, but then they're going to go and check you out, right? So you want to make sure that you have an organic presence, because organic builds community, right? Like paid will build volume and get more people to know about who you are and more people into your marketing ecosystem. But organic is where you can have conversations with people, it's going live, it's doing all these things to help people to have the information that they need to buy from you. But it also builds that trust. People can see that see that you're an actual person and not a bot, right? So those are really the three things that you want to have before you invest in ads. It's one, having the right messaging and understanding what resonates with your ideal clients. Two, is having a customer journey or a funnel that's actually going to move people from not having any idea who you are to wanting to buy from you. And it's three, it's making sure that you're building community and you're showing up organically so that you can help to facilitate that community, but you also to help facilitate trust.
This was pretty much like a whole little mini masterclass in the one question. So the funny thing is I asked the question on purpose because like Lester commented, he's been a client of mine. He's the one that was, I had tagged you guys with each other because he'd asked me for an ads person. Mm-hmm. And although I remembered you, I forgot to introduce you until you made a post or something. And then I connected you. So my bad publicly. But I have so many clients because we don't do marketing. Like we can do the tech of the email funnel. Mm-hmm. We can do the tech of the sequence, but we're not going to write the emails. I can tell you when I've seen something fail, and I can say, well, I can tell you from past, like just visibility of our clients. And when they've tried this didn't work. So maybe try this, but that's still not the same as just having a clear picture of like how you're going to really market the business and when's the right time to use ads. I think ads have been the thing that have been hung over our heads for so long, where it's like, well, if you're not running ads, what are you doing? The same way it was like, if you're not doing lives, what are you doing with your life? And if you don't have YouTube, and if you don't have an email list, and quite frankly, this is going into what, year 6 for me. And I'm just now doing most of the things that I just mentioned. I finally adulted to email. I finally adulted to YouTube. I'm finally adulting to lives, all in the same year. But, it took some time to kind of figure that part out. So it's good to know that I accidentally was doing some of the steps right, as far as finding out like who my right clients are, and know not just the people with the pulse and can pay the bill, because I think I had those for the first couple of years, but evolving to who do we like, who likes us and how we work, and who do we get the best results with? What are the offers that we do the most? What are the offers that we enjoy the most? Now, I'll be very honest, we still have not done ads because it's one of those things where it's like, I've seen it done so wrong that it will definitely be like the ultimate glow up for me when it comes to when we start running ads. It's because we have literally gotten our shit so together that we can't mess it up. I've been on teams before I grew my team where I saw somebody that had invested like $800,000 in an ad campaign, and when she did her launch, by the end of the week, had only brought in like $200,000.
Wow.
Now, when I saw the $200,000, I was like, it's not bad. Until she was like, we did an $800,000 ad campaign. And I was like, oh shit. So yeah, flag, because I'm like, you've been doing this for a while and doing these launches and ads and all these things, and to invest that amount of money to yield not that amount of money was like, so that little $50 boost that I did, it wasn't the same.
And that really speaks to the argument that more budget does not necessarily mean that you're going to be more successful, right? Like, because like, I've managed budgets up to like, $10 million budgets, right? Like you could spend $10,000 on a campaign and it's still flop, right? Like, you can spend, a significant amount of money on a campaign and it does not work. But that's the thing, is like, you don't have to, I guess the reason I say that is because a lot of people are holding on to from away from are shying away from investing in ads until they have a very large budget. But I wanted to let people know that the budget is not necessarily like, yeah, there's a piece of it, right? Like, their budget is important, but I would more so say, how are you spending that budget? What are you learning? How quickly are you able to, like, adapt and change? Are you looking at your numbers, right? Because how does it get there before we actually, before we realize this is not working, right? And so, I want people to understand that, you don't have to wait until you can spend $10,000 to be able to run ads. You can absolutely make, start to grow your email list and start to get some learnings and stuff like that with, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, something like that. But it's really just about what is the strategy? How are you timing it right? What is the strategy? All that kind of stuff. And what did you learn? Because out of that, that client, I'm sure that they learned a lot, right? They learned a lot about what worked and what does not work. So then when you take those learnings and apply it to the next thing or to the next campaign, then you can start to, you start to recoup some of that money, right? Because then you're like, okay, well, at least we learned a whole lot of stuff. And that's one of the things I think that I really, really kind of like got ingrained in me when I was working at Zappos, because it's like, okay, it didn't work, but why? Right? You can't just come up and say, oh, the Facebook ads for this campaign just didn't work. Why didn't they work? We have a client that we have to talk to. Like, the brands that I worked with, they were like our clients, right? In a sense that like Crocs would pay us to run a campaign for them. And I can't just go and say, oh, it just didn't work. We didn't sell any Crocs.
My bad.
Right. My bad. Right. Like I had, so you have to dig into why. And that's why it's so important, I think, as growing business owners, that we dig into our data. Like I have, a client now where we're digging into all of his data. We're looking at his Google Analytics, his Meta Insights. We looked at his website, his, all of the things, right? We looked at all of his analytics, and we really put together we're putting together right now a comprehensive growth plan based on that data. And so you have to understand what your data is telling you, because if your data is telling you that, you should go one way, but you're just so stuck on going another way, right? Or if you're not looking at it at all, it's even worse. You're not looking at it at all. You're just kind of shooting from the hip. You don't know what's going on, right? And so you really have to make sure that, especially at your, at that 6-figure mark, or, increasing above that 6-figure mark, you need to be looking at your data heavily. And you need to, we put together marketing trackers for him, like metrics trackers, so that he can go in and see week by week, how are his numbers shifting and evolving and changing? Because that's how you make informed decisions. You got to be proactive with looking at your data instead of like actually going and, just creating content after content after content. Do you know what works? Right? What are the topics that works? I have another client now. We're planning out their Q3, and she was like, oh, here are some topics that we want to talk about. Okay, well, what I want you to do is I want you to go into our Google Analytics and look at the past blog posts to see which of these topics resonated the most, which ones were getting the most leads, which ones are getting the most SEO traffic, because then that helps us to narrow this stuff down. So we're not just, putting out, topic after topic. We're actually saying these are instead of 12 topics, these are the 4 out of those 12 topics that really, really drive leads and sales for us. Let's focus on saying these 4 topics different ways rather than saying 12 different things one way, right? So that's how you start to really kind of use your data and be able to accelerate your growth. But a lot of people are not looking at it, right? Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times I get on with a new client. I say, do you have Google Analytics installed on your site? And they're like, I think so. I think our developer installed it on there, but I haven't looked at it. Okay, well, please grant me access so I can dig in there, because I can't give you anything until I see what the data is actually.
Look at us overlapping, because we do SEO, and then we'll hear, I think I have it, but I need to ask the person that set it up if I can get access.
What? Wait a minute.
Oh, I hear that one a lot.
I get that with Pixels.
Password. I'm like, it's yours. What do you mean?
Right. What? I so get that with Facebook Pixels, because people like, I will tell this to anybody out there listening, please make sure that you own your Facebook Pixel. And the way that you know that you own your pixel is because whoever creates the pixel is the person who owns the pixel. If you added an agency or a freelancer to your business manager and they created the pixel, they own that pixel. Right. So that's why I always tell my clients, I've had other clients, and helping them, but like, You need to create the pixel. We can install it. We can get it set up, but you create it so that you own it. Because when I was at Zappos, ownership is a thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, trying to, and I was, working directly with my reps to try to get ownership over certain kind of like Instagram accounts and other kinds of things that, we needed to reclaim ownership under the Zappos umbrella. And it was hard, even
It's
as
very hard.
someone who has a rep, right? So, I'm going through that with one client now. Somebody booted her out of her ad account, and now we have to prove the meta that this is actually her account, right? And it's been going a lot of back and forth. So make sure that you own the things that you create. Make sure that you are safeguarding your accounts. You're not just letting anybody in there. Making sure that, even if you have a team and you're giving them access to stuff, you only give them access to stuff that they need.
Yep.
This is all kind of stuff that we go through when we're auditing our clients to make sure that they don't get to the place where someone steals their data, because it is your pixel, right? Like all that pixel, that's your data. So you need to own it.
Well, it's nice to see the crossover of the pain point for both of our industries.
Yeah.
I'm giving that lecture at least every other month between us setting up websites. It's crazy how many clients are willing to just easily give you a password. And I'm like, pause, like just stop right there before you even keep talking. Nope. Can I just give you my credit card? Absolutely not. I don't want any of it. I don't want any of the things that could, even though we're honest people.
Yeah, exactly.
If something was wrong and we're the last people that you gave access to, you're going to be the first people that you look at. So no, absolutely not.
Exactly. Exactly. And people can hack into, like, we can get hacked, right? Like we're on, we are definitely like, honest providers, and we want to make sure that we, I make sure that people's pixels are created and all that kind of stuff. Like I will tell them, I'll walk you through it. You just have to create it, right? But at the end of the day, my account could get hacked. And do I do safeguards and have two-factor authentication? And do I know how to spot phishing emails? Like I had to add a video to my course about how to spot phishing emails, because when I was at Zappos, we had to go through these trainings. Like I used to think it was crazy, but we had to go through trainings on how to spot phishing emails. And what phishing emails are, they're those emails that you get where people say, "Oh, click this link," and they come from Meta all the time, right? They come from Meta.
Oh, yeah. In that Meta leadership group, I think every other day it's is this real? Yes. Is this really you guys?
Exactly.
I mean, I'll be very honest. I almost missed going to one of their conferences because I assumed it was phishing.
Yeah.
And it actually was them. And I was like,
yeah, but rather safe than sorry, like, right? Because if I get hacked, like, because I think that's what people don't understand is like, if you have somebody in your Facebook ad account, right? You've added somebody to your Meta Business Suite. The way that you add people is through your personal page. And so how you get hacked is through somebody's personal page. People are not hacking into your Meta Business Suite. They're hacking someone who has access to your Meta Business Suite, and then they're getting into it that way. So you want to make sure that you have these kind of safeguards in place, like spotting those phishing emails, like having two-factor authentication on, and all that kind of stuff to keep yourself from getting hacked. Because I've known people who have said somebody hacked my account and spent $5,000 on my credit card, and now I'm having a fight with my bank because it just looks like it was an advertising spend, right? Like it happens. So don't think that it can't happen to you. Just be as cautious as you can. And I don't say that to scare people, but I just say it to be cautious, because hackers are out here working full time, right? Like we may take a vacation, but these hackers are working all day. Okay.
No days off at all.
No days off.
Well, it's funny. And I appreciate what you said, because I actually heard this related to ads, but I've heard it in other ways where it's like, if you implement something or you launch something and it doesn't work, there's lessons in the data. Mm-hmm. And you kind of take those lessons and go from it. Like even right now on my team, and I'm saying this because I owe them an edit to a blog post, so I haven't forgotten. Sorry, my bad. I'm just, again, publicly acknowledging it. But it came from them looking at, I think I made the comment, I was like, we have clients who we didn't even really do full SEO, and their site is performing so well, but their stuff is so niched that all it really needed was a solid foundation in the site, and it's going to perform really, really well. And then it's like, well, our site's performing well, but not as well as our clients who we didn't even intend to do this well. But now trying to figure out what are the topics that people are coming to us for, what are the blog posts that are performing the most. So we are starting to get much better into our own backyard. We tend to be like, again, that company that's paying attention to everybody else's stuff. I'm that hairdresser whose hair looks like shit and everybody else looks amazing. Yeah. That's been me this whole time. And so this year I'm like, all right, so maybe I should fix my own hair. No pun intended. And, get my own shit together so that I don't look crazy trying to tell you how we can do things for you. But I love everything that you've shared. I genuinely appreciate you sharing it. I already knew people were going to eat this up. I can't wait until I see some comments from the replays and stuff. And this is also going to be on TikTok since it's still here, at least today. And
Yes.
and so we'll hope for the best and see where that goes. But so you've shared a whole bunch of amazing information and some other tips. Is there anything else that you want to give the people or share before we wrap up? And then the follow up question, is there anything that is going on in your world that you want to tell people about?
Yeah, definitely. So how I want to wrap up is so I want people to understand that Facebook ads are a piece of the puzzle. And I think that, so when I started in marketing, digital marketing was a specialization, right? Like, no, saying you were a digital marketer meant you knew email and SEO and websites and all the things, right? And so back then, like, I knew how to I had to play with all the things, right? But now, fast forward, we're in a world, in a marketing landscape where everybody has a specialization. So, like, someone is teaching you how to make the best reels. Somebody's teaching you how to, get leads from YouTube. Somebody's teaching you how to, how to run Facebook ads, right? Um, but these are all pieces of a bigger puzzle, right? And so you have to really kind of start to, as you're growing your business and you're getting to that 6-figure plus mark, you have to really start to figure out, how do all the pieces fit together? Right? Because it's not enough to just say Instagram's working over here and email's working over here, and we got a YouTube channel, and we post on Facebook, and we do all these things, we do webinars. But, like, how does everything fit together? How does your webinar how does your webinar and email relate, right? Like, how do you use Reels to fuel your email list? How do you use YouTube to grow your email list? Because you know that when you do a live launch, you do a live webinar, you get most of your sales from email, right? So you have to start to, instead of just putting out videos and creating podcasts and, just pushing things out, you really have to start to understand, how do I make it so that everything fits together? Because when everything starts to work together, that's when the ship rises. And the example that I'll use is, like, one of the last campaigns I worked on when I was at Zappos was for a Clueless Crocs launch. And so Crocs had made this exclusive line of Crocs that were based on the movie Clueless, right? And it was a Zappos exclusive, and we wanted to blow it out the water, right? So we had, email working, we had ads, we had Google ads, we had, billboards, we used influencers, we had work. Everything was working together, and everything was pointing towards blowing out this launch. And we sold out the top styles within 48 hours, right? And so I want you to start to think about it. When you have a launch coming up, when you have a promotion coming up, are you doing everything you can to make sure that all the pieces are leading to the launch? Are you making sure that all of your marketing is leading to the thing that you are promoting, or you're leading to the services that you're trying to push? Because if you're sitting here with scattered marketing, then everything is going to just be working on its own. But you really have to start to work with someone who can help you to bring all the pieces together. And that's really what we do at our consulting company. We really look at, the different pieces of your marketing and build a comprehensive plan to really kind of help you to accelerate your growth. So you can really see, like, how are the dots starting to fit together? Like, how do I make sure everything is working together to make the entire ship rise? And so so a couple of things that I have coming up is, one, we've been really focused on our marketing sprints. And what that is really kind of like, you get a CMO for 30 days and you get access to our team for 30 days, or it works out to be like 4 to 5 weeks. But what we do is we audit your marketing. We just delivered a 19-page comprehensive audit to a maternity photographer so he can start to really kind of make these updates. And then we're also working on his growth strategy. And so we put together the audit, we put together the growth strategy. You get access to us via, Slack and chat. You get our access to our client resources, which are like content calendars and templates and all these kinds of things to help you to improve your efficiency with your marketing. But the biggest thing that you get out of that is really having a clear roadmap for how you're going to go from that 100K to that next milestone of 250 or 500 or wherever you're trying to get to, right? Like, it really, really helps you to give you that, a playbook and a roadmap that's pointing you to your next level. And so if that's something that you are interested in and you're really trying to take things to the next level, whether that's, we're 6 months into the year, right? You got 6 months left. Like, for me, we're still going, right? Like, I'm not giving up. I don't give up until the end of the day, right? To the end of to the last day of the year, right? We're going to keep going. And so if that's you and you're looking to accelerate, definitely make sure that you reach out to me and we can talk about, whether you're ready for that growth plan or where you're at. And what we also have coming up, we have webinars coming, a live webinar coming up in July. We have some, we have a lot of stuff coming up, so I'm excited about. So definitely make sure you get on my email list. And the best way to get on my email list is to go and take my quiz, because my quiz is going to give you a comprehensive marketing report based on where you're at now. And it really kind of tells you what you need to focus on. So go to stacyzeal.co/quiz. You can take that quiz, you get on my email list, and that way you'll know when we have webinars coming up and all the things. But either way, DM me to talk about our marketing sprint, or jump on my email list, and we'll see you around these social streets.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We'll make sure that we also put that in the comments so you guys can get to it when you need to. And of course, with us, it's funny that you mentioned a quiz, because that was a reminder that we have one that I've done no marketing on. So
come on, quiz. I love a quiz. I love
taking quizzes, but clearly, as much as I love taking them, I damn sure don't seem to be talking about it. So thank you for the reminder, Amy. Make a side note on that one. But of course, with us, if you ever need any type of technical systems, SEO, web design support, we do have a quiz, but we also do not nearly a detailed 4 or 5 week audit, but we have a 90-minute audit that we'll do to take a look at the systems and things that you currently have in place to see where you might be losing a little money or losing some time and efficiency. So feel free to check us out on, of course, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, now TikTok, and YouTube for any of these replays or any information. Of course, we have lots of different promo codes and things as well. And you can also visit us online at www.stallnakervs.com. I was about to rename my whole site. I'm thinking of this trademark of SVS, and that's all I have in my brain. It's coming.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Stacy, for being an amazing guest. I'm excited. I had to laugh because I see Angela in the comments, and she's going to be joining us later on in the month as well as a guest. So
she's coming up on my podcast too. I have her episodes coming out either next week or the week after that. Yeah.
Look at us all just taking it around.
This is what happens when you collaborate, right? Like, you just get good people in your network and you just collaborate. So yeah,
I'm working on my own little business bestie circle.
Yes.
That's the other thing I've not focused on in 6 years. And so I figure it's time. I'm going to put something together. But either way, thank you so much. Have an amazing rest of your Thursday, and we will see you around. Take care.